Everybody come see us on tour. We'll be in Columbus, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.
This is Russell Dobular here with Keaton Weiss, filling in for Jimmy Dore, who is out sowing the seeds of revolution and also doing shows. Those are kind of the same thing. So Obama is sweating a little bit. He's sweating his legacy, which seems to be all he's really cared about since he got out of office. Obama's biographer reveals ex-president fears for his legacy after tone-deaf preaching harmed Harris campaign. Barack Obama and his wife, Michelle, George Bush lover Michelle, have been slammed by his biographer for talking down to voters in tone-deaf and clueless preaching that harmed Kamala Harris's ill-fated presidential campaign. The effect was so bad that, combined with Donald Trump's victory, it is likely to reduce the 44th president's political relevance to Bill Clinton levels, David Garrow said in an exclusive interview with DailyMail.com. All I'm going to say is don't toy with me. Don't toy with me, Daily Mail. People do not want to be talked down to, no matter who they are, the 71-year-old Pulitzer Prize winner said. I thought it was tone-deaf and clueless for them to preach as they did. I would expect that perception will be shared by lots of people. If so, I think it reduces their relevance to Bill Clinton territory. Garrow wrote the 2017 biography Rising Star, The Making of Barack Obama. He predicted that the Obamas will now largely vanish from the political scene to hang out with celebrities on Martha's Vineyard. Poor them. Garrow said Tuesday's electoral rout has left Obama 63 nervous about the impact Trump could have on how he is seen by future generations. He has been and remains extremely concerned and nervous about his historical legacy, he said. That has certainly taken a big hit with Trump once again triumphing. But the writer predicted that Barack still has enough star power to pull in large speaking fees, such as the $400,000 he was paid for a single 2017 speech by Wall Street firm Cantor Fitzgerald, according to the New York Times. Well, they owe him bigly, right? He's set for life with those guys. I'm not sure that would necessarily decline. He still has the celebrity factor of being an ex-president, Garrow said. The author said he expected the Obamas to continue to hang out with celebrities and live on Martha's Vineyard, the millionaire's playground island off the coast of Massachusetts. I certainly expect them to be spending less time in Washington after early January, he said. Their 6,892 square foot Martha's Vineyard house on a 29.3 acre estate is estimated to be worth $14 million by Realtor.com. They have owned their 6-bed red brick Georgian home in Chicago since 2004. But the jewel in their real estate crown is now their 3-acre compound on Oahu, the Hawaiian island where Obama was born. Well, depending on who you ask. I don't think the current president would sign off on that. With stunning views over Waimanalo Bay. It has been under construction since Obama bought it for $8.7 million in 2015 through the chairman of the Obama Foundation, Marty Nesbitt. In 2022, he was pictured at the waterfront site for the first time talking with workers when construction was apparently nearing completion. The power couple will be keeping themselves busy with their business endeavors, including their TV company, Higher Ground Productions, which was behind the movies Leave the World Behind and Crip Camp. Leave the World Behind is totally something I would watch. I have not watched it because they produced it, which credited one or both of the Obamas as an executive director. The Barack narrated documentary Our Great National Parks and the Michelle Obama podcast. Former First Lady Michelle, 60, is also lending her personal brand to a fruit drink, Plezzy, marketed as healthy and for younger kids. Okay, well, you know what? that's enough of the lifestyles, the fabulous lifestyle of the Obamas. So let's take a look at some of Barack Obama's charming rhetoric. You know, it's interesting because Bill Clinton lost his mojo in his later years too. And it seems like that also happened to Barack. Because it seems to me the Barack of 2008 had a little more sense than to go to a bunch of African-American men and pull a Bill Cosby routine on them. And I don't mean he drugged their drinks. I mean he gave them the pull-up-your-pants treatment.
We had not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers.
Sure. And look at them in the background. They do not look happy. They do not look happy. You're in the room with this iconic first black president, room full of black men, and they do not look like they are having it. And then, of course, Michelle went and once again scolded black men. And remember, this is all happening in the context of you're running a candidate who infamously locked up black men for marijuana charges and then went and bragged about her own marijuana use on a radio show, thing that was very funny, earning some scolding from her estranged father, actually. Wrote a whole article about it because she said, well, I'm Jamaican. What do you think? Of course, I've smoked weed. Whose AG office fought to keep prisoners locked up for their cheap labor. This is the person that Barack and Michelle decided to go shame black men into voting for, and clearly that was in all likelihood an element of the move towards Trump among that community. But if you look at that description of their lifestyle, of their real estate holdings, we interviewed Thomas Frank earlier today, and he was talking about how Truman is actually the reason they created a presidential pension, because it was an embarrassment. Because when he left the White House, he was broke. He had no money. And what are you going to do? Go work down at the shoe store? Or what was he? He was a haberdasher. You're going to go open a new hat store? Yeah, Harry Truman's fedoras. You know, I mean, what are you going to do? But Truman said the only way to get rich in politics is if you're a crook.
Right.
Now, today, the crookery is just out in the open. It's just assumed that these people are going to be crooks. I thought one of the most disgusting moments of the Trevor Noah Daily Show, which had no shortage of disgusting moments, was when he did that monologue about the criticism Obama was getting for these huge fees he was getting from these banks that he bailed out. What? He's supposed to be the first president not to have these benefits. Fuck that and fuck you. And the libs. Come on. That's the Democrats. Everything boils down to an identity issue. Well, of course, him and Michelle should take the money. They're black. They're black. What are you, a racist? They're supposed to not take the money? This is a terrible, terrible precedent that really, honestly, started with Reagan. When Reagan got out of office, he was paid by the Japanese to go throw out the opening pitch at their baseball games. And it was very controversial at the time. It was considered a little whorish for an ex-president to go do that. That was not just a given that you cash in when you get out of office like that. And now, yeah, it's just another form of celebrity that the Clintons and the Obamas have completely cashed in on. And it helps to undermine faith in these institutions that people like the Obamas cry these crocodile tears for the loss of public faith in. Well, how do you think people look at it when they see these people who get out of the White House and they have all these real estate holdings all over the country? Like, what do you think they think of politicians after that? It's all a grift. It's all a money grab, which it is. They're right. Of all things, Obama, who had the best opportunity to break the banks since the Great Depression and bailed them all out, is taking almost $500,000 to speak to banks. What does that tell people?
Well, that's a stain on the legacy right there, not to mention the string of political losses that his own party endured while he was president.
Right.
When
Right.
he
didn't give a shit about other people winning elections.
No, they suffered historic losses up and down state houses, in the Senate and Congress. The 2010 and the 2014 midterms were just absolute wipeouts for his own party. And then obviously, since then, starting with the 2016 campaign, he has decided to take this very, very condescending approach to voters who he doesn't feel are sufficiently excited about these far less talented politicians than himself. Obama clearly, one of the most narcissistic figures, of the last generation. Apparently not narcissistic enough to know that it was only through the power of his charisma that he was able to win and get reelected on a policy set that basically amounts to nothingness.
Yeah,
right. Hillary can't
Hope
sell
and
that.
Change.
Really, Joe Biden couldn't sell that. Like I said, he won under flukish circumstances. And obviously, he couldn't sell it again. And then when he literally melted down, Kamala Harris tried to sell it. She couldn't sell it. The only person talented enough to actually sell this and win is Barack Obama, because he's a very, very charismatic and magnetic presence on the campaign trail. And so he was able to really put a nice shine on this just completely rotted out political ideology. Nobody else can do it. And so that's why he can only go out there and browbeat. He could only go out there and say, what's wrong with you that you're not more excited about Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton in 2016? There's nothing wrong with the people. The only thing I could fault the people for, and I fault myself in this, is they were gullible enough to be conned by a very, very skilled bullshit artist named Barack Obama. That's it. And the legacy is going to be that. If there's going to be any progress for any left, they are going to have to understand Barack Obama very differently from the way they understand him now. Among mainstream left of center circles, not just committed left wing people like us, but amongst even left liberals, they're going to have to understand that this descent into Trumpism began, as Thomas Frank told us earlier when we pre-taped an interview, when he decided not to prosecute the perpetrators of the financial crisis, but to instead sic the Justice Department on individual homeowners.
Yep.
That's what started the whole thing. And that is going to be his legacy. That will be understood at some point in the future. That'll be the common sort of take on this whole era. The question is, can enough people realize it in real time to reverse this trend now? That's an open question. That remains to be seen.
Well, this is another way that I think Garrick is right. I don't think they are going to trot him out the way they did before. He clearly fucked up. I think she would have lost anyway. I don't think it was decisive, but it certainly didn't help. And what Michelle did certainly didn't help. And I do think in hindsight, when the history is written, Michelle sharing her candy with George Bush and giving him a big hug is going to be seen as symbolic of a Democratic Party that completely lost touch with their voters and completely misunderstood the electorate, thinking that is a politics for suburban normies. And you know what? They vote Republican. They vote Republican. It's you run the Republican against the Republican. They go for the actual Republican. Why the hell are they going to vote for you? What are you offering that's going to make them vote for you instead? If that's what they like, why would they not vote for the Republican Party? Why would they vote for the Democratic Party? So yeah, that is going to be how they're going to be seen in hindsight. Bill Clinton as Gozer, who began the destruction of the Democratic Party. And they kind of finished it. And I think Obama, whatever else you want to say about him, he's a smart guy. And I think he knows that now. And I think that's part of why he fought so hard to control the destiny of the party, to make sure that people like Keith Ellison did not become DNC chair, to make sure that Bernie's wing did not take over the party. He was trying to control that narrative, but now that's gotten beyond his control. And yeah, I think they're right. They'll still trot him out, but like they trot out Bill Clinton.
Well, yeah, I mean, he wanted to preserve his legacy as the permanent model of Democratic politics. He could have just resigned himself to the prospect of his legacy being one of transition into a more Bernie-centered
He could have sold himself that way.
He could have sold
himself
that way.
If he had gotten behind that movement,
exactly,
he would have been seen very different.
As the guy to pass the ball. Instead, he was the guy to insist that his way must be the one and only way forward in perpetuity, no argument whatsoever. And what happened? It got rebuked. And now his legacy is going to be that he was the last person who could effectively sell a dead ideology before the country turned on him and that ideology. And now you got at least 4 years of Trump. 4 years of Trump followed by a likely, successor, J.D. Vance or whoever they decide to put up.
Hey, look at what this is. It's called Positive. Let's be real. Dogs have a sixth sense for finding the one thing in your house that they absolutely shouldn't eat. It happened today. Like your hidden chocolate or whatever treasure they dug up in the backyard. That's why they put together the Positive Emergency Kit. Because let's face it, these what did you just eat moments happen more than we like. Happened today to me. From unexpected allergy flare-ups, surprise bowel movements, or even classic what did you just eat off the floor mystery, this kit has got you covered. It's your first line of defense for keeping your dog safe and sound, no matter how curious they get. And yes, Rumble is the company behind it, so you know it's top quality. Visit Positive.com, pick up your emergency kit today for your small or large pet, and save 15% with the code Jimmy. That's Positive.com. Get your emergency kit for when your dog eats stuff they're not supposed to. Everybody come see us on tour. We'll be in Columbus, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.